remember everything correctly, and then from there we'll move on to the next bit.
And then I usually start them off low and then just bump it up.
Okay.
So I usually just take it to the number that I know he'll work at.
Right. So in the beginning, that is correct. Right. You start low, you work your way up, but like let's say every walk you always end up to like 25, 35 range.
Yeah.
Then it's safe to assume okay, his number's probably about 25, 35.
Yeah.
And then you would jump out just at that range. Okay. So what have you been typically ending at?
Like 16, 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's his like listening number?
Seems like 17. He like I see it like
Sure.
on him, like he'll blink and all that.
Sure.
So he doesn't really feel it until probably like 13.
Okay.
Something like that.
Oh, he's a sensitive boy.
What?
I say he's a sensitive boy.
Or I'm just too scared to go higher.
That dog was just on 80.
Oh really?
And he's only a 7th, 8-month-old puppy.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever seen Walter? The GSP on our like, he's one of our daycare dogs.
I'm sure I've seen it.
He's like black and white. He's spotted.
Okay.
But he's doing e-collar. And today was his 7th class. And because they're squirrels, she had to be at 80 in order to get him to listen. Okay. But he's not yelping or anything.
Right.
He's just listening, you know. So Leroy's number could absolutely be 16, 17. Size doesn't matter, none of that stuff. That's why I say, show me what you've been doing, and then we'll see what's going on. Okay? So whenever you're ready. Good. Good turn. Going to slow down to a stop. So does he typically stop with you, or does he overshoot a little bit?
He'll overshoot a little bit.
Okay, so that tells me he's not 100% paying attention. Okay, so it should be a bit more spot on.
Okay.
What's the highest you've gone just over the course of like the last week and a half?
18 or 19 maybe.
Okay, and what are you at now?
16.
You're at 16. I'm going to have you give a little bit more slack. You're going to give about a foot of slack here. That's good right there. And I'm going to have you try that same exercise again, and we're going to go to 100. We're going to go to, well, we'll try 18.
You did that one on me last time.
Oh, did I? I got to get new jokes. Tap, turn, tap. Yep, good. Now slower. Now walk slow here. Slower. Stop. Okay. A little bit better. I don't know if you saw the shift in speed and stuff. So even just going to 18 was a good difference. Let's try. What's the highest we went last time?
I think we went up to 24, and that's when he yelled.
And then
Maybe
we brought it back down.
34.
We were at 30 something, but then we dropped it down because he gave a big reaction.
Yeah.
And then we were like at 20 something, and then I think later on he yipped again, and we dipped it down a little bit lower.
Yeah, I think we were like no higher than 24 after the yelled.
Okay. We're at 18. Let's try 21. I'm gonna go right in the middle, and instead of moving straight, you're just gonna pivot off to your right and get more slack. There you go, and forward. Yep, forward, tap. Slow walk. Slower to stop. Okay, so this here I'd like to fix. So what we're going to do is now when you come down to that stop, he's like 70-80% right here. Okay, so now when you come to your stops, remember, repeat the same thing, is if he just keeps going, you're going to just pick up speed, turn, and tap to bring him into your side. Okay. Now, do you feel like you're doing a lot of tapping during the week, or is it like moderate tapping, or is it maybe
Probably
tapping?
Moderate.
Okay.
I mean, I tap him a good amount on the walks. It's just like if it was a short walk, I kind of gave up. So it was like I don't want to tap him when he's speed a million times. But if it's a long one, then I was like doing it.
Okay. Yeah. So.
I felt like I was confusing him by going back and forth, so I was like I should stick to it at least on the long walks.
Okay.
And on the short ones that were more like potty breaks, I was trying to like I would do it, and then I would get distracted, or equally as distracted.
So what we'll do is once we add in the cue today, it's going to make a very clear line of like, okay, now he's going to be walking and he's not going to be able to pee a million times. Okay. When he's on break, I could care less. He's on break because it's his own time.
Right.
So that'll help you out a lot more. But we do want to tighten up this. So when you come to a stop, he should be stopping right beside you. And he is walking better. And people think like, well, he's not pulling as much, or like, you know, this isn't that bad. I'm like, but it's heel isn't about like not that bad or not pulling
like
that much. It's
not.
very, yes, exactly. It's you're working or you're not working, right? So we're trying to create that kind of tightness. And then when he's on a leisurely stroll, you should see that even those are going to be a bit more easier because he's not going to be always like all over the place. Like
and
this,
it was like the first 2 days after, I was like pretty intense about it, and then he seemed to just like kind of get it. And then I think that's when I was like, oh, am I tapping him? Am I not? Like on these short walks.
Sure.
So.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's go ahead and give slack again. We're going to give another foot. There you go. Good. And then forward. So now when you come to these stops, if we see him start to forward, you just want to go straight into that turn and tap. Tap forward, tap forward. Good. Tap forward. He delays a little when you turn. Good, that's fine. That's a good turn. Now go into slow walk here. Slower to a stop. Okay, don't do this again, Leroy. Okay. Now here, turn. Tap. Tap. Good. Then slow turn. There you go. And you're going to try to slow to stop again, okay? And slower. And stop. That's better. Now, pull up on your leash. Tap. There you go. And relax. Good. So that was better.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like it, you know, he did shoot a little bit, and then he turned out to face you. That's because he's thinking you're gonna do another pivot. Okay. So he's doing that to like, in case you move, I'm gonna see it because I'm already facing this way, right? So that's perfectly fine. I don't need perfect positioning, but I would like him to at least be not past you.
Yeah, I feel like he's ahead of me. Like even if he's not far, like he's like here
on
a lot of our walks.
Okay.
Like, and he's not necessarily pulling, but.
It's like, that in between.
He can hear when my foot stops.
Yes.
So I was like trying not to do that because
yes.
It seems like he noticed that versus the tap.
Yeah. You tap your toe on your pivots.
Did I?
Yes.
It's like I'm trying to help him out.
Yes, like just like it's like trying to help him cheat. Yes. So you just want to go into those turns.
Okay.
So what you were doing is you're doing the turn correctly, but you're doing a correctional turn with the movements.
Yeah.
Right. Remember that left. Did we cover that?
Go this way. Oops, sorry. Yeah. Last
wait, did we do turnings? All right, so let me.
I think
so. So I don't think so because typically the turning is today's class.
Oh.
So people naturally pivot correctly until I tell them to do it. So when we do a pivot, since he's on our left side, I extend my left leg like this, move back the opposite way. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But this turn, if Leroy's getting ahead of you. Turning go the opposite way. What you were doing is you're doing this and tapping your toe and going the opposite way. Okay? So when he's passing you and you just do that turn,
he has no idea.
It should be without warning. Because you're trying to make him be more focused by catching him off guard. Okay? So if he's passing you, don't worry about slowing down or the speed stuff and all that.
Turn.
You just turn.
Okay.
Because when you catch him off guard, then he goes, oh crap, mom's going that way. I need to pay more attention. Okay, that's how it's supposed to work. So we're going to try it again. Yes. Right. So when he's already ahead of you, you just go into the turn. There's no warning, there's no slowing down, just turn the tab, right? When Leroy, I keep wanting to say Walter, when Leroy, because I just touched his pain. When Leroy is passing, me slowing down isn't going to help him. He's already not paying attention.
Okay.
If he's already paying attention, that helps him. So he goes, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're slowing down. Oh, you're turning? Okay. And then he turns with you. Okay? Because that's only fair. So it's, again, like driving. If you just hit the brakes, whoever behind you is going to crash into you. There's no, that's your fault. But if you've pumped your brakes and you've given adequate, like, hey, I'm coming to a stop, and they rear-end you, it's no longer your fault. It's their fault because you gave clear signal. Okay, so same thing for Leroy. If he's getting ahead of you, there's no reason to like pump the brakes already because he's not paying attention. Just turn. Okay, turn and always tap. All right, so let's try it again. He did a little bit better. Okay, that's good because he was paying attention.
We both have that problem, I guess.
I can get you a knee collar too.
My friend was joking that we had to put it on her anytime she grabbed the drink.
Oh, really? Good. Go ahead and on this pivot. Okay, good. That's a good turn. Now go ahead and just speed up. Relax that arm. There you go. Now slow to stop. There you go. And then, so like, see right there. Right when you start to inch forward is when you just turn tap to tighten them up. Okay? So we're going to try that again. It's the stops that he's struggling with. Everything else is pretty good.
Okay.
Good turn. That's good. Good turn and slow to stop and be ready for that pass. Turn, tap, 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 tap. And slow to stop. That's better. Now lightly pull up, tap, and relax. There you go. That's much better. Okay? And that's all. It's literally that little thing. It's just recognizing when to do it. Okay? Because he's not, since he is paying more attention, he's not curbing out drastically anymore. It's very subtle, which makes it harder for the handler if they're not used to like those little nuances of remembering like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be turning, tapping. But if like, let's say you're on an actual walk from point A to point B, you would turn again so that you can continue going back in the direction you need to go. Okay, and that's how I fix these kinds of problems. Okay. We're gonna try it one more time, then we're gonna move on to the next thing, okay? Good. Good. And you'll try that slow to stop again, ready for that pass. Yep, and then light pull up. Yep. And that's fine for now, okay? So once he gets the pattern of every time we stop, I put my butt down, we won't even see that anymore because he's just gonna do it naturally, okay? Questions about that? Make more sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and all we have to do is go to 21. Wasn't that bad, okay? So now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna work on adding the heel cue. So heel is gonna be the on switch. Everything we covered last week and everything we covered today then goes into effect. So if you go out with Leroy and you don't say anything, then technically he's free to do whatever. Okay. Once you choose the word heel, then everything goes into effect. He should be following your lead, and then you should be making sure that he's paying attention. And then there's other things that we're going to add in as well. Okay. So this part is super simple. Since we have Leroy on our left, you're going to cue the word heel first, and then you're going to move with your left leg first. Okay. So dogs have a wider peripheral range than we do. So when you say heel and he sees this, it's his visual cue of now we're moving. In more advanced training, left leg means walk with me, right leg means don't move. Okay, because it's the dog, it's the leg away from the dog. And it sounds super fancy, but it's really just practicing and then being consistent. Of I always use this particular leg. So we're gonna what you're gonna do here is you're gonna say the word heel first, then left leg. You're gonna walk for a little bit. So we'll stop. If he passes, turn tap to correct him. Okay. Turn again if you need to. Slow down. Attempt to stop again. General area. Okay. Up tap. He puts his butt down. Wait a moment. Heel, left leg, and then we repeat that a few times. Okay. So you're just trying to get into the habit of cueing the word first, and then moving on that left leg. Okay. Questions? All right. So you're going to go ahead and lightly pull up. Give a tap. Tap. Good. And go and just step up a little bit so you're next to each other. There you go. Then right here, you're going to go and just cue the word heel and then left leg.
Heel.
Good. Good pivot. And you're going to slow to a stop. That's okay. Up, up. Yep, good job. Tap. Good, good, good. I thought he was going to stop with you, but you good catch. Good. And then slow. Slow to stop again. That's good. Very good. And then wait a moment. Heel.
Heel.
Good. Good. Good turn. Yep, forward tap, forward tap. Good job, good job. Good pivot. Try slow into that stop again. Good. Lightly pull up, tap. Very good. And we're going to do 3 more. Heel.
Heel.
Good. Slow to stop. Yep, that's good. And then he auto sits, so then we don't do anything there. Okay? Heel, 2 more.
Heel.
That's not too bad. Yep, up tap. That's fine. And the last one, heel.
Heel.
Good. Good. Much better. There you go. Good. So that's now the on switch. Okay, so if you don't say heel again, Leroy's free to do it as he pleases. Or if you cue the word break, that also means your job is done. So heel clocks him in, break clocks him out. Okay? Questions about any of that stuff?
No.
So for the turns, you're doing the pivots correctly already when you're making those about turns. Okay? And most people tend to do them naturally until I tell them to do it specifically.
Right.
Okay? So I'm going to go over it with you. The hardest turn is what we call the crossover, or the left turn, because you're crossing over the
Right.
okay. So if he's on our left and you move with your left leg, you're going to either trip over him or you're going to kick into him. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to turn with our right leg if you're going left. Okay. Kinda. So what we're going to do is I like to use the sidewalk as a guide. Is you're going to hug on the right side of the sidewalk as you're moving, and before we turn, what you want to do, right? So you slow down first, and then you're going to time it so that you cut in front of Leroy here at a 90-degree angle. So I like to use the sidewalk.
With my left leg.
Like that. Okay. Yes, like that. Okay. So walk to Leroy, slow down, and then you cut right in front with that right leg. Then it's going to be left leg. Then you're going to cut again with the right leg. Now you're going to go the opposite way. If you do this correctly, you should stay within the right, left, right. So I'm just using the cracks here. Okay. Then we slow down again, and then right, left, right. Or you just repeat that a few times. Okay. The slow down is super important here. So if Leroy's paying attention, he slows down, and I can turn in front of him, no problem. And for him, since he sees this, he goes, I don't want to collide with mom. He will naturally stop or turn with you as you step forward with the left leg and then out with the right leg. The opposite. Okay? Now, if you slow down and Leroy is not paying attention, he's over here, you try to go like this, it's going to feel very awkward. Because you're going to be in the by his shoulder in the middle of him, and it's going to push him out. Or people will like go like this and then run around the dog. I'm like, that is not a left turn. Okay, so if he gets ahead when I slow down, what should I do here?
Turn around.
Yeah, exactly. You turn tap, bring them back, and then you try again. Slow down, and then right, left, right. Okay? So don't try to force it if he's not paying attention. It's your, so heel for Leroy, pay attention. For you, make him pay attention. Okay?
Try to.
Yes. The more you make him pay attention, the less you'll have to worry about it down the line. Okay? So like my dogs, like they, I walk them, and when I feel like they're in the call, they'll still have it. But I'm not doing any of the stuff anymore because they've already been trained to that degree. But in case something happens, they're not gonna, like, I've had 2 walks in Logan Square by the boulevard where people have set off fireworks at me. And my dogs hate fireworks. And on those 2 walks, I was like, I really wish I had my e-collar because now I got to deal with my dogs because they're scared. They're like, I don't want to be here. This sucks.
Right.
So I don't have anything to overcome that, right? So it's once you've done all this stuff, it's just present. You already know everything. He already knows what to do. But every once in a while, something like that may happen where you'll need to reinforce it. Okay?
I mean, he gets super excited when he sees my friends. So that he'll like just pull, try to get in the car. Like that's what happened yesterday. I didn't want to tap him because I was like, technically he was on a potty break and they tapped me.
Sure.
I'm like,
and you can disagree with that still, even if it's not under command. Okay, so, and we will talk about like correcting things because there's obedience and then there's behavior. And even though it's your friend and even though, like you may like love them, doesn't mean he can just drag you into the car, right? So then it's just putting boundaries to things and going like, no, you can't just be impulsive like that unless I give you like, okay, go.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have the pivots. So we have the crossover going to the left. For the pivots, you were already doing this. But what we want to do, just so you know, is step out on that left leg, back on the right leg, and then go to the left leg like this. Okay? Which you were already doing.
okay. Now I'm going to overthink it.
Yes. So we would do the same thing. We're going to slow down first. And as long as he's with you, you go left, right, left, the opposite way.
Okay.
Left, right, left. Now we're going back the opposite way. Okay? If you do the slow down and the pivot and he keeps going, then you just tap, 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 start walking. Because he already lost them. Okay? So these are turns that you do when Leroy is paying attention. Okay? If he's not paying attention, then you have to reinforce that. Questions so far? So we're going to start with the left turns. That's the crossover leading with which leg?
Right.
Yes. Okay. The leg opposite to the turn. We're going to do a batch of those first, and then we're going to move to doing the pivots.
The box?
Correct. You're going to do the box turns first. And then we got a bike coming here, just so you know.
Sweet.
And I'm going to give him slack. There you go.
Feel.
Okay. How did that feel?
Weird.
Okay.
Did I do it right?
Let's see how the next one goes. Okay, so you got the correct legs. And try it again. Okay. How'd that feel?
Weird.
Okay.
Why?
So we're going to try one more. Yeah. Now slow to stop here. Okay. And up tap for the sit. Very good. Out of all of those, which one was the best one?
The what?
Which one was the best one?
The last one?
Yes. I felt a little bit more fluid, right?
Yeah.
Why?
No idea. Because it was the third time I did it.
Fourth time.
Oh, fourth. Practice makes perfect.
What else?
I was actually slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay.
You actually slowed down. All the other ones, you went right into them.
Okay.
So he was caught off guard. Now, he still did turn with you. He still stopped. He still pivoted. But you caught him off guard, and he's like, what are you doing? Like, oh, I guess we're turning.
Right.
And then you moved. Okay? But for you, it felt more so awkward for you because you noticed his like apprehension because you caught him off guard. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So on that fourth one, you actually slowed down about 2 to 3 steps, and you led all your movements were correct. There was one where you did a softer. It wasn't as pronounced with the right leg. It's like you did turn, but it wasn't enough to like clearly communicate like we're moving, right? We're turning this way. The others were too abrupt. That last one was you slowed down and you gave a very pronounced left turn with that right leg. So he's like, oh, this is what we're doing? Sure. Okay, so we're going to try it again, and we're going to aim to get them to be like that last one. Okay?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. There you go. Very good.
Right foot first, right?
Correct. That was a very good one. Good. You're going to do one more, then you're going to come to a stop. Yep. That's okay. Very good. Better. There was a couple that were
Too fast.
too fast. I don't think you pronounced like very clearly, like for turning. I can't remember if I asked this last time. Are you a fast walker?
It depends. Like once I get going, yes. Because like I feel like if he's walking well, I'm walking fast. But if we're not, then I'm like, okay. Like I feel like I'm either really fast or really slow.
Okay. So what we're gonna do here, because if you give the impression of you walk fast here, okay? Maybe because he's walking better.
Yeah.
So you might be slowing down to like in response to him to kind of just like get him to chill out. But then when he's doing well, you like speed up because it's a smoother walk. So that makes sense. So here, what I'm gonna have you try is I'm gonna have you cover more ground, so you can go down to that those two trees like in the middle there.
Yeah.
And then you'll be doing your turn just to give you a bit more space. And when you slow down, I'm gonna have you instead of 2 to 3 steps, I'm gonna have you do 3 to 5. Okay, so I'll have you do a little bit more. We'll see how that works out. Then we'll move into the next turn if it looks good. Otherwise, I'll have to try to figure out.
Am I doing left turns?
You're gonna still do the left turns, correct, with the right leg. Okay, and go ahead. Much better. Go ahead and pick up your pace. Much better. 3 more.
Should I be doing the turn faster or no?
No, your speed is good. You're fine. Good. 2 more. Yep. Very good. And then last one on this one. Very good. And then you'll come to a stop right there-ish. Yep. You scared of trains? What?
It's usually fine.
It's usually fine? Okay, sorry. All I heard was train.
Oh,
I heard that. Okay. Much better. Okay. Just so
I guess I am a fast
walker. When you walk, just like either on your own or with Walter. There it is. You walk with Leroy, and when you walk just on your own, just kick calves. If you find you are naturally a fast walker, and then you're a fast walker with him as well, I would say slow down like a quarter of your speed, because it'll already put in your head like I should slow down to stop. I've worked with plenty of fast walkers where they walk so fast that they forget about slowing down for stopping, you know? So then when I have them slow down already, since they're already in their head thinking like I have to walk slower for my dog, then they know to slow down again to stop. Okay? So the reason why all this stuff is important is because, again, you know what you're doing, he does not. Okay, so if you just like are walking with him like, all right, we're going to go this way, you're going to end up with like all this craziness. So then you slow down. As long as he's doing his job and paying attention, it should be very seamless. Okay? And if you're making just like a left turn, you would just cross with your right, and of course you just keep going straight. You wouldn't keep a box like we're doing here. That's for the sake of space. Okay. Now we're going to work on those pivots. So that's going to be, left, right, left, go back the opposite way.
Left, like this.
Right, left, correct. If you see him keep going, right, so I usually pause a little bit with that left leg, like this, and then I'll move forward and pick up my pace. So that pause allows Leroy to come around. So by the time I'm here, we're already lined up and we can turn together. Okay? The reason for this tight is you may not always have space to do what you need to move.
Right.
To do that, so then you have your pivot and you stay within the width of your part of the platform. Okay? So now, no left turn. Now we're doing the about right turn. Okay.
Feel.
Yep, that's good. Good, forward. Good, couple more. Good. Excellent. And slow to stop. Excuse me. That's okay for now. Very good. Questions about that so far? Now you're going to do same thing, but you're going to use these turns interchangeably. Okay, so you're going to left turn when you want to left turn. You're going to pivot when you want to pivot. You call the shots, speeding up, slowing down, stopping, going back into a heel, just at random. Okay? Good pivot. Good pivot. Good. Good. Just a few more. Good. Very good. And then you'll slow to stop. Much better. Much better. There you go. Very good. So, all those look good. There was one here where you caught him off guard. You actually, I think you did everything correctly. I think he was just daydreaming. But you powered through, which is exactly what you do. Okay, so typically when people see apprehension.
Yeah, I felt that one a little bit, I think.
Yeah. When people see apprehension on the dog, they tend to like stall, and then everybody gets confused.
Right.
Okay? So, you ever dance? Go dancing? Like dance lessons? No? Okay. Well, in dancing, neither do I, but in dancing, there's a leader and a follower. A very experienced dancer, like I say, salsa or whatever, and if they're dancing like with the student, they can make the student look like a good dancer because they know how to lead. As long as the student knows like some basics of following, they can follow along and look better, right? So when I work with dogs, I do all these movements naturally now. Like I'm just rehearsing so much; it's just part of how I walk.
Right.
I probably even do it when I'm walking, not even walking dogs.
Right.
Is that when I'm working with them, people are like, oh wow, like that dog's running so fast. I'm like, or I just know what I'm doing,
Right.
and I'm doing. The dog sees this, right? This was nothing that we taught Leroy. We did not teach him, hey, I'm going to do this, and when I do this, I'm going to do this, and this, right? We just did it, and he naturally just followed along because dogs are masters of reading body language, okay? So here, as long as our communication is correct, that's why we need both parts. We need Leroy paying attention, but then we need you communicating. So then it should be that easy. You're going to get times where maybe he daydreams, and you catch him off guard. As long as you've done your part, it doesn't matter, okay? In that moment, I saw him kind of go like, whoa, what's going on? And then you just like powered through and okay, and then he followed you. So then he was able to recover because he saw you were moving with intent. Okay, when you start to stall, then he's like, well, I don't know what we're doing. He looks at you, he's like, I don't know what you're doing. And then you're like, I don't know what you're doing. And then like everything's out of whack. Okay? So you always just keep with it. And sometimes you might see he does, you do the turn, he's like all over the place, right? Even if we were to go off somehow, you would just keep your movement and happy because when he gets away from you, right, he's like, what are we doing? And he's like, Mom, oh, then he just goes. But it's very important that you just keep your movement. And you can use your leash to correct this, back into position, not against that. It's just when needed. So on some of the turns in the beginning, because you're trying to compensate when you were catching off guard, I don't know if you noticed your hands like this. No?
I like know that I probably do it, but I don't.
So you do it. Right? Almost everybody does it. Okay? Is that you're naturally compensating. But you're going, uh-oh, this turn is down. So you're trying to slow it down so you can complete it, right? The problem is this starts to become more like habit, and next thing you know, it's pulling again, and you're pulling back, and then you're back to square one. So dogs are always learning. They're always being trained. And like I don't like the word dog training. Because training implies you would be done. Okay, like you would learn the skill, like with the job. If I worked at a place and they're like, hey, just want to give you a promotion, we're going to put you in a 2-week training course, and then when you're done, you're raised, right? But then after that training course, I can naturally apply that skill when I want to. Okay, dogs don't do that. He doesn't think like, oh, I know to follow mom, and I know when to come to mom, and I'm just to do it, right? It's you're training him the skills, so he learns them, and then you're using them and applying them so that he maintains that skill set. Okay, so applied training is always the most important type of training. So, turns, always keep doing. You should be paying attention. If you're not paying attention, you have to correct them to enforce that. Okay, because you know what heel is by definition. Okay, walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. Plus the turn stuff. He's just following what you're telling him. Okay, so he's just thinking, as long as I pay attention to mom, when she says heel, I know that I'm going to avoid getting tapped. I know if I'm right next to mom and she's here, I'm not going to get tapped, right? And that's how you start to kind of favor that area. Everything else is on you, okay? If you're ever walking with them and you're like, man, Leroy's not that great today.
It's probably me.
Not probably you.
Oh, it is me.
It's you, okay? Not probably, it's you. So, or like if you turn into him and you're like, wow, that felt really weird. We did something incorrectly. We didn't slow down, which is the most common thing. Or he's not paying attention, and he's not paying attention because it's too low. Just like those are the most common things that I get. Okay, too low or not slowing down. So that's why it's important to recognize where to go. So 16 to 18 to 21. 21 was a pretty considerable difference in his attention span. Then I go, yeah, that looks like to be his number. So then when you work with them at home, I would start experimenting, just starting you walk so that's really one range. And you should find like, wow, I only had to turn once during that whole walk, and it was an hour walk. Like, it was really good. That tells me that one tap really stuck with me.
Right.
Okay. People want to do things nice. Okay. It's not about being mean. But if you're like at 10 or 11, like you'd still be turning. You wouldn't even be at the step. Okay. Dogs learn very quickly. I can have a dog off leash trained in 2 days with all the basic stuff. Um, because I don't like, how'd you say? I know they're not gonna, they're not too tough, right? We're not hurting them.
Yeah, yeah.
But for the owner, like I was like all these thoughts. Oh, I feel bad.
Right.
What are people gonna think? He gets, and is this too high? How do I know when to go higher? Right? It's just part of the process.
Right.
Okay. As you get used to it and more comfortable, it gets better. But again, it should never feel like an argument. Okay. So if you're walking him through like, I don't know, maybe it's like normal festivals that you're walking through, there's food and another dog, and you're like on 21, so you get over here. Probably 21's not high enough. That says you 50, 45 before he's like, cool, okay, mom, I'm here, and then nothing else matters. Okay? So it's all appropriate to the situation. Questions about any of that stuff? We have the heel work, and we talked. I believe we talked about break last week.
Yeah.
Okay. So now when you do that word heel, left leg. I use only say heel when you go from stationary to motion. So if you're walking with Leroy and he passes you, you would not say heel and turn. You would just turn and flap. Okay. You say it once, you make it happen. I say heel whenever going from stationary to motion. So like if you heel and you walk 5 blocks, then you come to a red light, you stop, and you auto sit, you wait, green, heel. Okay. Definitely want to keep that up for at least these next 2 weeks to really kind of just condition them to associate that word heel and that left leg and moving. Once he's got a good concept of it, technically once you cue heel, it's in effect until you release him. So if I say it once and I come to a stop and I move forward that left leg without saying anything, technically that's a heel. You should keep going. Okay? Because I've had some clients they don't like repeating the heel every time they stop. So I'll tell them after a couple of weeks, once the dog has a good concept, you start to remove any repeats, but you still have to initiate the cue. Okay? Once I release Leroy on a break, and then he's done with his business, heel. Now I got to tell him, now we're back into this motion again. Okay? I typically recommend across that potty break, get that out, heel. Once you've said that, no more pain in the time.
Should I get up next to me before I say heel?
Nope. Because I'm still on your left side. So like if he was over here peeing, and you go heel and you start walking, tap, tap, it's a real easy straight shot.
Yeah.
Okay? Some trainers teach heel as like shoulder and then move to the left side. I don't. That's a separate command. So instead, heel is walk my left leg. So I would if he was over here, I would move this way because it's a straight shot. If he was on this side, I would pivot like this, heel, because now he's moving to that left side, straight shot. It's not a very specific looking thing, or coming from behind and coming over here. He can do it. It's just it requires more training to teach that. And all I want is very simple. When I say this, just come to my left side and let's go. Okay. I suggest before your walks, start with 5 field stops, then do 5 field left turn, and then 5 field pivots to warm yourself up and get that in your muscle memory. And then once you get that done, start your walk. And the tricky part's going to be, I'm going to turn left at the stop sign now. So now you got to time it where you're walking, then you got to slow down, and then you got to turn with your right leg, and then go with your pace, and try to make it more so fluid and not so awkward. Once you get used to it, you don't have to do like this very soldier-like movement. Like when I turn, I do 2 paths of turn, but it's still pronounced. You're just getting that in your muscle memory so that you're clearly communicating with them. Other questions? So your homework for this week, this is field. What we did last week today, all field. Start using the word. If you're walking and you decide I don't want to do this anymore, stop, sit, wait, Leroy break, and then it's whatever. Okay. As long as there's that clear dividing cue, you're perfectly fine. But definitely don't want to just randomly whatever.
Right.
And let them go off.
That's where I was like, I don't know.
Don't do that. Other than that, everything's good. I think his number was definitely better, at least here in the settings, 21. So don't be afraid to go up. If you get a gift, just go back down. Obviously, the dogs find each other.
So I introduced it to my boyfriend's dog, and they were fine. And then we brought them. They were fine in the park, and then we brought them inside. And I shouldn't have ripped away. I should have done it. And they both started running after, and then they got into it.
Sure.
So to get them like better starting off without like it not being too much, I think I told you like introduce. It's definitely more hit than it is.
Is he a resource starter? Is that like a
Like,
guard an object
Yeah.
from another dog?
Not like at a dog park, but when it was his, like his dog bowl, he growled, and his toy. Like anything that I would put in, I was like, I'm probably going to and they got into it. Normally he plays stuff fine, so I don't know
Talk about
other
okay. They got the park and stuff?
dog. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and he doesn't ever do anything like growl, like he play growls,
Sure.
tag swaggy,
Sure.
but so I don't know why not. I think it's just good to his house.
Couple of things. Yes. In the house, his thing. Two dogs, one for the same thing becomes competitive.
Okay.
Okay. So what I would recommend is first you just need. There's no guarantee that Leroy would learn to share his things with your boyfriend.
Right.
Okay, just
Right.
so you have that in mind.
Yeah.
I would. What you did was wise. Remove anything, like you said, that was really. But I would remove everything and anything that's Leroy's. Okay, and let them get used to just coexisting.
Right.
So the assumption is, outside they're.
Sometimes I think it's like me too, because like, and we were out on like the deck, and he went and sat under the couch that I was sitting on, but normally does that just for shade. At least that's what I thought. My girlfriend was like, "Is he doing that to protect you or for shade?" And I was like, "I didn't think about it." But I think it was just for shade.
So
Like,
that was
should
gonna
I
be my.
just chill out and sit down and do their thing?
Yes and no. So when I have dogs introduced, I don't assume like people go by, like they're wagging their tails and they're friendly.
Right.
Everything's gonna be great now.
Right.
That's not how it works. So like everything could be great until what's your boyfriend's dog's name? Oh, not your boyfriend's name.
No, the dog is George.
Okay.
George and Leroy.
All right.
We have two
Wow.
oldies.
So we got it's like the odd couple.
Right.
So George.
Like the Seinfeld George. That's what he's named.
Well, he's bald too.
No, but he's like a little house guy. He defended himself pretty well though.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, he's probably bigger than him, but he's so shy.
Gotcha.
Like he's just like whatever. Like he
Sure.
doesn't. He will not walk around. Trying that for sure. He doesn't like noises.
Oh, sure. Okay, timid or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's say they're great in like a certain setting, but then all of a sudden like you're in the home, Leroy's at your feet, and then George comes over to say hi to you.
Right.
That's a potential problem.
Right. That's what I'm scared of.
Yeah, people don't. They just think everything's gonna be great. So if that scenario comes, I look at Leroy and I look for any cues. His hackles go up, he perk up his head or his ears up, and he's starting to get up in posture. All those signs are signs of escalation, right?
Right. But he shouldn't be doing that if he's on heel anyways, technically. Right? Like if I walk in and he's on a leash, he should be sitting next to me, even if a dog's running at me, great dinner.
Yes, if he's under command, yes, that stuff still happens, right?
Yeah.
Now, but it's different. Like, let's say he's in a heel and the dog approaches you.
Right.
I mean, you're still gonna create that context of like, get away from my mom.
Right.
Okay. So that's why you have to read his signs, because it could be that he does, be that he doesn't. So in the beginning, like if you're just hanging out and he's at your feet, and you see George coming, then you look at Leroy, and you're going, are you changing your posture? If he looks like this, and George comes over wagging his tail and all that stuff, then I go, okay, cool.
Right.
We had a moment, there was no tension. But I don't assume it's always going to be great.
Right.
Right? Because maybe he was just tired. And then like another day, like he's not tired, he's not been walked, and that happens again, and he's posturing. And you go, oh, okay, like there's a difference here.
Yeah.
So then what I do is, the easiest way is prevention. You can't make Leroy like George coming into your space. You may like George until things happen.
Right.
And
that seemed to be what it was. They took him to a dog park and it was fine. They got along. They said hi to the dog's feet switched. They said hi to him. Fine, whatever. And then kind of when the main guy came in, I was like, I'm gonna leave. The dog kept growling. And I was like, and they were fine in there. Brought him in my backyard. They were playing. And then they were upstairs. He got near his water bowl and growled. And then we were inside. They were fine. And I did it.
Sure. So I would also remove the water bowl and the food bowl, whatever. It can happen where he acclimates to George and like, okay, like you're having a shared space, and you'll start to maybe he won't care about the water bowl, right? But the boys.
It's weird because with the cat, I don't care about it. My roommate has a cat, but it's always been with the cat.
Well, there's that too. It doesn't. So dogs may guarding against dogs, but not humans. So guarding against humans, not dogs. Yeah, there's no guarantee. Nothing like that.
Right. The cat beats the shit out of me too. So I'm like, I can't believe it. It just sits there and it doesn't do anything.
You know, yeah. I mean, but that makes sense.
But I'm like, why would you let a cat do that and not, and then you're gonna like go after?
Because he's just how long has he known George? There you go. Okay. So then when you see that stuff, just look at it, you know, like take a step back and be like, okay, first time in the house, two dogs going for the same thing.
Right.
All that stuff sounds normal to me. Okay. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Time tells everything. Okay. So then if you notice, like, yeah, every time George is over, he's on edge, then it's safe to think that he doesn't like George.
Right.
Which doesn't
I don't
mean,
think that that was the problem. I think it was just like a first time, don't touch my shit.
like stepbrother.
Yeah, exactly.
Put my nuts in your drum.
Right. Yeah.
Like, don't do that.
Yeah, because they were great at the park. It was just once it was like his stuff, that's the problem.
Sure. Yeah.
And
So
then I was so mad at myself for doing it.
That's all right. I mean, you know, I'm sure you're not the first person to have done it
Right.
in the world. You're not going to be the last person. But I would always err on the side of caution, put everything away, and then over time, as you see him get more comfortable with George within the space, then you can start bringing things out, you know. And then you might see he grabs the coin, brings it to George, and start tug of war, right?
Right.
Still doesn't mean that's
No, I
brought
know.
it to George, right?
Right.
And it's in his house. So the dog park community said it.
Right.
Whereas the home is his territorial, it's his space, right? That it might be different rules.
Yeah, I think we'll probably try just like walking that versus bringing them for a while and then graduate slowly.
Yeah. You know. Nothing out of the ordinary. I don't find it to be a concern or anything like that. Just keep an eye on it. You know, and even if things start off like a little rocky in the beginning, like I've had plenty of dogs. Actually, another client, a friend of the family came over with an Mastiff puppy, and her dog is very dog aggressive. And they were there for like 4 to 5 days, and it was like a lot of tension. The dog even went after him, barking on the stop. And then on the 4th day or 5th day or so, they finally.
Yeah.
You know.
I assume that's what it'll be. I just wouldn't.
And obviously, like Leroy's not that dog. You know, like this dog legitimately has aggressive issues, and it's still. I've had other clients with dogs that were dog aggressive, adopt a dog, and then they won't want to become buddies.
Right. Okay.
I've also have others that just won't become buddies.
Right.
But that's the world. That's just how it is. You know, there's no guarantee. So, but